Hey there, welcome into the show. My name is Chase Sr., and you're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. Really appreciate all of you for hanging out here on the show. And coming up, the future is bright, or as the great Patrick Bet-David would say, the future looks bright. If you know what I'm talking about, type real one down in the chat. And what we're going to dive into today, Howie Roseman has built a very promising defensive core full of young players who have been balling out all year, who have been developing as this season has progressed. And in that game against the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday, as Philadelphia came through with a statement victory, they once again were shining. Today's poll question, though, is this. It's a difficult crop to choose from. So who is your favorite young player on this Eagles defense? Drop me a name down in the comment section right now. As for my Eagles defensive takeaways in the aftermath of that victory over the Ravens, that was one of the top offenses in the league. And after the first quarter, Philadelphia throttled Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and this Ravens attack. And this year, we have seen the Eagles go from 2023, when they were arguably the worst defense in the NFL, to here in 2024, they are the number one defense in the National Football League. So worst to first is certainly a theme here on today's show and with this Eagles defense. What's also cool, just turn on the tape. If you have access to the All-22, or if you want to go back and look at the highlights on YouTube, look at how so many Eagles players fly to the football. When there is a tackle made, it's not just one guy. There are a contingent of Eagles players around the ball carrier. Last year, it was gross how many missed tackles this Eagles defense had. This year, it's been cured. Thank you, Vic Fangio and the position coaches for checking that box and fixing that flaw. The Eagles are also well coached, and they're fundamentally sound. They're not making a lot of mistakes. They're not committing a lot of penalties. Most importantly, though, these young players who needed to make leaps, these young players who were getting significant reps in year one, needed to give this Eagles defense something. The success of the Eagles defense in 2024 was dependent on these young players developing and taking that step. So far, so good, they have. Look at how this Eagles defensive turnaround has transpired this year. Last year in 2023, 26th in yards per game, 25th in yards per play, 30th on third downs, 30th in red zone touchdown percentage, 24th in sack percentage. This year, 1st in yards per game, 2nd in yards per play, 2nd on third downs, 5th in the red area, and their sack percentage, it's gone up a lot as well. 7th in the league. And then the important stat of points per game allowed. Philadelphia last year gave up a tick under 24 points per ball game. That was 28th among 32 teams. This year, Philadelphia, 18.2. That is 4th. And I have some notes here that I also bookmarked on X as far as how this Eagles defense has played over the last few games. Eagles defense since week 6. 1st in defensive points allowed per game, 13.4. Unbelievable in today's NFL. 1st in total defense, 1st in yards per play allowed, 1st in passing defense, 1st in yards per pass allowed, 1st in 3-and-out percentage, 1st in sacks, 1st in sack percentage, 1st in forced fumbles, 2nd in passer rating allowed, 3rd in third down defense, 5th in rushing defense, 5th in takeaways. Are you kidding me? And how Vic Fangio has made in-season adjustments following that bad game against the Buccaneers coming off the bye week. He's made in-game adjustments this year. Philadelphia isn't necessarily a great first-quarter team, but man, they finished game strong. And in that game against Baltimore, offensively, defensively, they were able to do that. The Ravens scored a field goal and a touchdown on their first 2 drives of the game. And then after that, their next 8 possessions. Punt, 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 field goal, 2 missed field goals, a punt, turnover on downs. Baltimore, before that garbage time touchdown, had 3 points in their final 8 possessions. Philadelphia holding Baltimore to under 400 yards of offense, 206 yards passing, 166 yards on the ground. Derrick Henry was under 85. No turnovers, but Ravens did fumble a couple of times, and the time of possession pretty even there. And from 2021 through 2024, Howie Roseman had 13 picks in the first 3 rounds of the NFL draft. His hit rate, phenomenal. Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie emphasize offense more than defense. That's why the positional spending and defensive spending the last couple of years on defense has been a little bit lower. You think about their Super Bowls that they've played in, 2017, 2022, they've scored a lot of points, and they've hired offensive coaches, right? Andy Reid, offensive guy. Chip Kelly, offensive guy. Doug Peterson, Nick Sirianni, offensive guys with offensive backgrounds. But over the last couple of drafts, Howie Roseman has put an emphasis on drafting defensive players, and he's hit on those defensive players. These are all of the 13 picks in the first 3 rounds that Howie has had since 2021. Devontae Smith, Landon Dickerson, phenomenal players, both extended. Milton Williams, hopefully the Eagles can find a way to keep him around because he's in a contract year. He's balling out. Jordan Davis, making strides. Cam Jurgens, starting center. Nakobe Dean, starting linebacker, playing great football this year. Jalen Carter, one of the top defensive tackles in the game. Nolan Smith has 4 sacks in his last 8 games. Tyler Steen, at this point, good backup, but he was a 3rd-round pick. And Mekhi Becton, the signing of him, Howie Roseman move. He's unseated Tyler Steen because of that. Jury's still out on Sidney Brown, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. 2 of the top rookie corners in the 2024 draft class. They might be 1 and 2, and the Eagles got them both. And then Jaylx Hunt, with Brandon Graham injured, gets more snaps on Sunday, has a half sack, and he's smashing helmets on special teams as well. More good news, it looks like this Eagles defensive core could be around for the foreseeable future because a lot of these marquee players, very young. We're going to talk about that coming up just around the corner. But first, today's Philadelphia Eagles now is sponsored by our friends at GameTime. How cool is it to see Eagles fans taking over M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore? I know a lot of people who went to that game and a lot of people who watch this show. They downloaded the GameTime app, they created an account, and they used the code CHATSPORTS. Why? Well, when you use that code CHATSPORTS, terms apply, first purchase only, you get $20 off your purchase. And I love this app and others like this app because it's very cool how you can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. You can access tickets from your phone, easily resell those tickets. The Birds will return home to Philadelphia to take on the Carolina Panthers this upcoming Sunday. If you want to go to that game, plenty of tickets available. You take a look at the bird's eye view here of Lincoln Financial Field. This gives you a view of where you can get some of those tickets, and then the vantage point from those seats is also very cool. So download the GameTime app, create an account, use the code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, and you get $20 off. It's not just an app, by the way, for sporting events. You can go to concerts, comedy shows, theater events, and a whole lot more. We'll put that information down below in the comment section and in the description of today's show. So, this Eagles defensive core, they could be around for a little while. And in a city that absolutely loves good defensive play, and for an organization that hasn't necessarily invested a ton in the defensive side of the football, it's great to see this team playing the way that they are. I love how this team is built. I love watching this team because they beat you up at the point of attack. They dominate at the line of scrimmage. They will out-physical you throughout the course of a game, and they will just kick your ass throughout a 60-minute ball game. It's fun to watch. You watch a team like the Miami Dolphins. They can't win a game when it's under 40 degrees, and they're soft. You look at a team like Ohio State against Michigan. Michigan, built a lot like Philadelphia, cold weather climate teams. Ohio State, soft. And so this is a fun team to watch, and you see these Eagles defensive players mashing skulls. It's a joy. And this could be this Eagles defensive core for years to come. Why? Well, Cooper DeJean is only 21 years old. Jalen Carter is 23 years old. Nolan Smith, Quinyon Mitchell, Jaylx Hunt, Nakobe Dean, also 23 in their Jordan year. Jordan Davis, he's 24. Milton Williams, he's 25. Blankenship, 25. And of note, Milton Williams is set to be a 2025 free agent. He is playing really good football in a contract year. For Cooper DeJean, we just go down this list player by player. Dude's a stud. He's lining up inside, little hybrid linebacker. I'm glad that Vic Fangio watches the show because I was calling for this even in the pre-draft process. Reminds me a lot of Trent McDuffie, and so I saw that before the Eagles took him. I was stoked when they did take him, and he's a versatile player. And how about the hit stick that he put on Derrick Henry? It's one of the most difficult players to take down in the National Football League. Derrick Henry has a 50-pound advantage on Cooper DeJean. He just picks him up, drops him to the chance of Coop. Awesome. He's been one of the top corners in football. Jalen Carter, one of the top defensive tackles in the game. That's a player who offenses have to account for on every single snap, because if you don't, if you leave him one-on-one, chances are he's going to be able to win that battle and make his way to the quarterback. Nolan Smith, 4.5 sacks in his last 8 games. He is producing at a really good level. That twist, that bend, the speed, the burst coming off the edge. Built a lot like Hassan Reddick. You see some of the Hassan Reddick flashes, and keep in mind, it took Hassan Reddick a little while since he came out of Temple to get his career going. Bright future right here. Quinyon Mitchell, Guantanamo Bay, playing lockdown corner on the outside for Vic Fangio's defense. And that allows you to have a lot of wiggle room as a defensive play caller in a defensive scheme. When you have a corner who can play on an island, frees other people up. And he's gone up against some of the top wide receivers in the game, and he's fared very well. Jaylx Hunt, first extended action of his NFL career. Half sack against Baltimore, disruptive player, making an impact on special teams as well. Jordan Davis, it was huge for this Eagles defense to stop the number 2 rushing attack in the NFL. Philadelphia's offense, number 1 rushing attack. That's the run stuffer that I want to see at 6'6", 340, collapsing the offensive line, plugging the run gaps, and also collapsing the pocket as a pass rusher. Milton Williams, career year. I saw a clip on social media of his dad watching the game. Looks like a dude who would be a lot of fun to be around for an Eagles game. Going nuts after his son made a big play. Blankenship, no cap, been one of the top safeties in the NFL this year. And when the Eagles have needed a big play, he's been there to make it. And Nakobe Dean, he was the best linebacker at Georgia. And he's been playing like the Georgia Nakobe really since the bye week after he overcame some of those early season struggles. Vic Fangio was right to give the leash to Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean to play, to get better, to improve. They've done that, and that's why Philadelphia let go of Devin White, and that's why Vic Fangio was fine with that move, because he knew what he had in Nakobe Dean and Zach Bond. It's good coaching right there. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. Thanks as always for supporting the show, and I'll catch you soon.